The flash exploded like a gunshot. Victoria's heart slammed against her ribs as every head in Meridian Coffee House turned toward her. The camera felt like evidence in her trembling hands. She had one rule in street photography: never get caught. And she had just broken it spectacularly. The man at the window table stood. 6 feet of tailored power in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her rent. His storm gray eyes locked onto hers across the crowded room, and Victoria's breath caught. She waited for anger. For security. For humiliation. Instead, he smiled. It was the kind of smile that belonged in warning labels. Slow. Devastating. Dangerous. He crossed the coffee shop like he owned it, and Victoria realized with sinking dread that he probably did. Everything about him screamed old money and older secrets. When he reached her table, she had to tilt her head back to meet his gaze. "I hope that photo turned out well," he said, voice like smoke and honey. "I'd hate to think my best angle was wasted." Victoria's professional composure shattered. "I am so sorry. I was practicing street photography, and the lighting was perfect, and I forgot the flash, and I'll delete it right now." "Don't." The words stopped her cold. "May I?" He gestured to the empty chair. She nodded, too shocked to speak. He sat with the grace of someone who commanded spaces without asking. Up close, she could see the faint lines at the corners of his eyes, the shadow of stubble along his jaw, the way his hands rested on the table with calculated confidence. Julian Ashford. He extended his hand. Victoria Reed. His grip was warm, firm, and lingered 3 seconds too long. Victoria. He said her name like he was tasting it. Beautiful. Unusual. It was my grandmother's name. She was an artist. That explains the photographer's eye. Julian leaned back, studying her with unsettling intensity. "Though your approach is bold. Most street photographers try to stay invisible." Heat crept up her neck. "There was something about the way the light hit your face. The intensity of your concentration. It was compelling." "Was it?" His smile widened. "And what did you see when you looked through that lens? What story were you trying to capture?" The question was too intimate for a stranger. But something about him pulled truth from her. "Solitude amid chaos," she said quietly. "Power hiding something softer. A man comfortable alone but maybe not content with it." Julian's expression shifted. Something raw flickered behind his eyes before he controlled it. Remarkably perceptive for a single glance. "Every face tells a story. Yours is particularly interesting." "And yours?" He leaned forward. "What brings an architect to a coffee shop on a Tuesday afternoon?" Her eyes widened. "How did you know?" "The blueprints in your bag. Plus the way you analyzed this space when you walked in. I recognize professional assessment. You're observant. I work in real estate development. Buildings are my business." They talked. Minutes became an hour, then 2. Julian possessed a sharp wit that kept her laughing and a thoughtful depth that surprised her. He asked about her work at Sterling Architecture, listened with genuine interest as she discussed sustainable design and human-centered spaces. He shared glimpses of his world, though Victoria noticed he kept details vague. There was weariness in his voice when he discussed work, as if success had come with costs he hadn't anticipated. The coffee shop faded around them. Victoria forgot about her presentation, her carefully planned evening, the portfolio waiting in her bag. She was captivated by this man who had transformed her mortifying mistake into the most engaging conversation she'd had in months. Julian finally glanced at his watch. "I've been here nearly 2 hours. I had a meeting 45 minutes ago." Victoria checked her phone and gasped. "My presentation starts in 20 minutes. They both stood, but neither moved toward the door. "Victoria." Her name was a caress on his lips. I'd very much like to see you again. May I have your number? She was reaching for her phone when it buzzed. A text from her boss flashed on the screen. Emergency meeting. Don't come in. Call me immediately. Victoria's blood turned to ice as she read the second message. Police are here. It's about your father. Julian noticed her expression change. What's wrong? She looked up at him, this beautiful stranger who felt like fate, and forced words through her tightening throat. I have to go. I'm sorry. Wait. He grabbed her hand gently. At least let me give you my card. She took it without looking, shoving it into her pocket as she gathered her things with shaking hands. Victoria, whatever it is, I hope. I'm sorry, she repeated, and fled. She didn't see Julian watch her leave with an expression that was part concern, part something darker. She didn't see him pull out his phone and make a call. And she didn't hear him say, "It's done." Victoria Reed just got the news about her father. Proceed with phase 2. His voice was cold. Professional. Nothing like the warmth he'd shown her. No, he said into the phone, eyes still on the door she'd disappeared through. She doesn't suspect anything. 3 days later, Victoria stood in her childhood home, drowning in paperwork and police warnings. Her father had disappeared. Not just left. Vanished. Along with $50 million from the investment firm where he'd worked for 20 years. We need you to contact us if he reaches out, Detective Morrison said, his voice heavy with practiced sympathy that felt like sandpaper. Your father is facing federal charges. Wire fraud. Money laundering. We believe he's fled the country. Victoria stared at the photographs they'd spread across the dining table. Her father shaking hands with known criminals. Bank statements with her mother's forged signature. Email chains discussing offshore accounts. The man in these photos was a stranger. This is impossible, she whispered. My father wouldn't. Miss Reed. Morrison's tone gentled. I know this is difficult. But the evidence is clear. She barely heard him. Her phone had been ringing non-stop. Reporters. Debt collectors. Former family friends calling to say they'd always suspected. Her boss had placed her on indefinite leave. Guilt by association. Her life was imploding. That night, Victoria sat alone in her apartment, surrounded by boxes. She'd have to move. Couldn't afford this place anymore. Her father's debts had somehow become hers. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. I heard about what happened. If you need anything, I'm here. Julian. She stared at the message. Julian. The beautiful stranger from the coffee shop. That felt like it happened in another lifetime. How had he gotten her number? She hadn't given it to him. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. She should ignore it. Should focus on the wreckage of her life. Instead, she typed, "How did you find me?" His response came immediately, "I'm resourceful. And I couldn't stop thinking about you. Even under these circumstances." Something warm bloomed in her chest. Dangerous, given everything, but real. I can't see anyone right now. My life is falling apart. Then let me help. No strings. Just coffee. You look like you could use a friend. She shouldn't. God, she shouldn't. But she was drowning, and he was offering a lifeline. They met at a quiet bistro in Brooklyn, far from prying eyes. Julian arrived looking less polished than before. Jeans. A simple black sweater. But still impossibly beautiful. Thank you for coming, he said softly. I wasn't sure you would. I'm not sure why I did. He ordered wine. They sat in heavy silence until Victoria finally broke. My father stole $50 million and disappeared. Everyone thinks I knew. That I helped him. My career is over. My reputation destroyed. And I have no idea if any of it is true. Do you think he did it? The question cut through her fog. I don't know. The evidence says yes. My heart says no. I don't know anything anymore. Julian reached across the table, covering her hand with his. The warmth of his touch anchored her. I believe you. 3 simple words. But they cracked something open inside her. You don't know me. I know enough. His gray eyes held hers. I know you see stories in faces. I know you care about creating spaces that enhance human experience. I know you're genuine in a world full of artifice. That's enough. Victoria felt tears burning. Why are you being kind to me? Because you intrigue me. Because I can't stop thinking about that moment in the coffee shop. Because maybe we're both more alone than we want to admit. They talked until the restaurant closed. Julian shared pieces of his life. Parents who died young. An empire he'd inherited too early. The weight of expectations. He understood isolation. Understood what it felt like when the world decided who you were. When he walked her home, Victoria felt lighter than she had in days. At her door, Julian cupped her face gently. Whatever happens, you're not alone in this. She kissed him. It was reckless and desperate and tasted like hope. He kissed her back with a hunger that stole her breath. That night, tangled in her sheets, Julian traced patterns on her bare shoulder. There's something I need to tell you. Victoria's heart clenched. What? He hesitated, and in that pause, everything shifted. I knew who you were. Before the coffee shop. She went still. What? I've been watching you, Victoria. 4 weeks. Ice flooded her veins. She sat up, pulling the sheet around herself. What are you talking about? Julian's expression was tortured. I work in real estate development, yes. But I also do private investigations. Asset recovery. Your father's firm hired me 3 months ago to track missing funds. The room tilted. I was investigating your father when I saw you. When I became interested in you. Everything I felt, everything we just shared, it was real. But I lied about how we met. Victoria scrambled away from him. You used me. No. God, no. I was supposed to get close to you, yes. To find out if you knew where your father was. But the moment I sat at that table, everything changed. Victoria, please. Get out. Let me explain. Get out. Her voice broke. Julian stood, reaching for his clothes. At the door, he turned. I'm falling for you. That wasn't part of the plan. That was never supposed to happen. You're a liar. I know. His voice cracked. But I'm a liar telling you the truth. And the truth is, I'm in way over my head. He left. Victoria collapsed onto the floor, shaking. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Your boyfriend isn't who he claims. Meet me tomorrow. 10 a.m. Central Park, Bow Bridge. Come alone. I have information about your father. And about Julian Ashford. She stared at the message, her world fragmenting further. Who could she trust? The answer, she realized with cold clarity, was no one. The morning air bit at Victoria's skin as she approached Bow Bridge. The park was nearly empty, mist rising from the lake like ghosts. A woman waited at the bridge's center. 50s, elegant in a camel coat, with sharp eyes that tracked Victoria's approach. Miss Reed. Thank you for coming. Who are you? Margaret Chen. I was your father's lawyer. Before he disappeared. Victoria's pulse spiked. You know where he is? I know many things. Including why Julian Ashford is really in your life. Margaret pulled out a folder. Your father didn't steal that money, Victoria. He was set up. By the very people who hired Julian to find him. The ground shifted beneath Victoria's feet. That's impossible. The evidence was manufactured. Your father discovered his firm was laundering money for a criminal network. He gathered evidence to report them. They needed him discredited and gone before he could talk. Margaret handed her the folder. Inside were documents. Real documents. Proof of wire transfers her father had traced. Names of board members involved. Evidence her father had been trying to expose the truth. Why didn't he go to the police? He tried. They're compromised. So he ran. To protect himself. And to protect you. Victoria's hands shook. Where is he? Safe. For now. But Victoria, the people behind this are powerful. They hired Julian Ashford because he's the best at what he does. Find people. Gain their trust. Destroy them. Julian said he's falling for me. Margaret's laugh was bitter. Julian Ashford doesn't fall for anyone. He's been engaged twice. Both times to women connected to his cases. Both engagements ended when the cases closed. The words felt like knives. He's using you to find your father. And when he does, your father will die. These people don't leave witnesses. Victoria stared at the documents, her mind racing. What do I do? Your father wants to see you. Tonight. I can take you to him. But you cannot tell Julian. If he finds out. I won't tell him anything. Margaret studied her. Can you do that? Can you lie to him? Victoria thought of Julian's hands on her skin. His voice saying he was in over his head. The way he'd looked at her like she was something precious. Yes, she said, her voice hard. I can lie. That evening, Victoria sat across from Julian in his penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Manhattan, the city glittering like scattered diamonds. He'd been calling all day. Texting. Apologizing. She'd finally agreed to meet. Thank you for coming, Julian said quietly. He looked exhausted. Vulnerable. I thought I'd lost you. You hurt me. I know. God, Victoria, I know. But everything I said last night was true. I wasn't supposed to care about you. But I do. More than I've cared about anyone. She wanted to believe him. Wanted it so badly it hurt. Prove it. How? Tell me everything. Who hired you? What do they want? What happens when you find my father? Julian's jaw tightened. I can't. Client confidentiality. You said you cared about me. I do. Then trust me. Tell me the truth. He stood, pacing to the windows. When he turned back, his expression was raw. The firm that hired me is Meridian Holdings. They want your father found and brought back. They say for justice. For the money he stole. And you believe them? I did. At first. He ran a hand through his hair. But some things don't add up. The way they want him found quietly. The amount they're paying me. It feels off. What if he didn't steal the money? What if he was set up? Julian's eyes sharpened. What makes you say that? This was the moment. The test. Victoria held his gaze. Because I know my father. He wouldn't do this. Julian crossed to her, cupping her face. If that's true, if he was set up, I'll help you prove it. I'll walk away from this case. From the money. All of it. You'd do that? For you? Yes. He kissed her, and Victoria kissed him back, hating herself. Because Margaret was right. Julian was good. So good she almost believed him. Later, wrapped in his arms, Victoria waited until his breathing deepened. Then she carefully slipped from the bed, grabbed her phone, and texted Margaret. I'm ready. Tell me where to meet my father. Julian's phone buzzed on the nightstand. Victoria froze. He didn't wake. Slowly, carefully, she reached for his phone. No password. Trusting. Or stupid. She opened his messages. The most recent was from someone labeled MH Meridian Holdings. Status update. Julian's response, sent earlier that day, she trusts me. We'll have father's location within 48 hours. Victoria's blood turned to ice as she scrolled up. When you locate Reed Sr., eliminate him quietly. Make it look accidental. The daughter is collateral if necessary. Julian's response, understood. The phone nearly slipped from her shaking hands. She'd thought he was using her. She hadn't known he was planning to kill them both. Victoria dressed silently, tears streaming down her face. At the door, she looked back at Julian's sleeping form. Part of her wanted to confront him. To scream. To hurt him the way he'd hurt her. Instead, she whispered, I'm sorry. Because despite everything, despite the lies and the betrayal and the cold plan to end her life, some traitorous part of her heart still loved him. And that was the most dangerous thing of all. She left. She didn't see Julian's eyes open the moment the door closed. Didn't see him stare at the ceiling, jaw tight. Didn't hear him whisper, I'm sorry too. His phone buzzed. The message from MH, final warning, Ashford. Complete the job or you're next. Julian closed his eyes. He'd made his choice weeks ago. Now he had to live with it. Or die trying. The warehouse in Red Hook smelled like rust and seawater. Victoria followed Margaret through the shadows, her heart hammering against her ribs. He's here? Yes. But Victoria, you need to understand something. Your father made choices. Hard choices. To protect you. They reached a door. Margaret knocked twice, paused, knocked 3 times. It opened. Thomas Reed stood backlit in the doorway, and Victoria's knees nearly buckled. He looked older. Thinner. Haunted. But alive. Victoria. His voice broke. She ran to him, and he caught her, holding her like she was the only solid thing in a tilting world. I thought you were gone. I thought you'd left me. Never. He pulled back, gripping her shoulders. Everything I did was to keep you safe. When I discovered what Meridian was doing, I knew they'd kill me to keep it quiet. So I ran. I made it look like I'd stolen their money to buy time. The evidence. I fabricated some of it. Made it look convincing enough that they'd hunt me instead of you. But I kept the real evidence. Proof of everything they've done. Margaret stepped forward. We have testimony from 3 whistleblowers. Financial records. Everything we need to bring them down. But we need your help, Victoria. Anything. Julian Ashford. Margaret's voice went cold. He's the key. He has access to Meridian's inner circle. If we can get him to turn, to testify. No. Victoria's voice was sharp. Julian is planning to kill my father. To kill me if necessary. I saw the messages. Thomas and Margaret exchanged glances. What? Victoria demanded. Victoria, her father said gently. Julian Ashford has been working with us for the past 3 weeks. The world stopped. That's impossible. I saw the texts. The orders to eliminate you. What you saw, Margaret said carefully, was Julian maintaining his cover. He came to us 5 weeks ago. Said he'd discovered his client was dirty. That he wanted out but couldn't without proof. He's been feeding Meridian false information while helping us gather evidence. Victoria couldn't breathe. No. He lied to me. He used me. He protected you. Thomas's voice was firm. When Meridian ordered him to get close to you, he could have refused and been killed. Instead, he agreed. Then came to us. Every moment he spent with you has been to keep you safe while we built our case. The engagement. Victoria's voice was hollow. Margaret said he's been engaged twice before. To women in his cases. Margaret nodded. Both women were in danger. Julian proposed to them to provide legal protection. Spousal privilege. When the cases ended safely, so did the engagements. He's never been in love, Victoria. Until you. You're lying. Why would we lie? Thomas asked gently. Because I saw the messages. He said he'd eliminate you. And if he'd refused? Margaret's tone was patient. He'd be dead. And you'd have no one protecting you. Julian has been walking a razor's edge, playing both sides, risking everything to keep you alive. Victoria sank into a chair, her mind reeling.
The coffee shop. That first day. Was any of it real? All of it. Thomas crouched before her. Julian was supposed to approach you, yes. But he fell for you the moment you took that photograph. He told us he'd never felt anything like it. That you'd ruined him. Tears burned down Victoria's face. I left him. I thought he was a monster. He thinks you're safe, Margaret said. He doesn't know you found your father. And that's good. Because Meridian is watching him closely. If they suspect he's turned. The warehouse door exploded inward. Men in tactical gear poured through, weapons raised. Victoria screamed as her father shoved her behind him. Don't move. The lead man's voice was cold. Thomas Reed, you're under arrest for. They're not police, Margaret said quietly, backing toward a side exit. Run. Gunfire erupted. Victoria ran, her father's hand gripping hers. They burst through the side door into an alley. Behind them, more gunfire. Margaret's voice shouting orders. They ran through Red Hook's maze of warehouses and shipping containers. Behind them, footsteps. Shouts. The click of weapons. Thomas pulled her behind a container, breathing hard. Listen to me. If we're separated, you go to Julian. No matter what you think of him, he's the only one who can protect you now. Dad, promise me, Victoria. I promise. They ran again, turned a corner, and stopped. 6 men blocked their path. Weapons aimed. Professional. Cold. End of the line, Reed. Thomas stepped in front of Victoria. Let my daughter go. Your business is with me. The lead man smiled. Actually, she's a witness now. Can't have that. Victoria's phone buzzed in her pocket. A text from Julian. Where are you? I know you left. Please tell me you're safe. Thomas saw her looking at the phone. Their eyes met. Some wordless understanding passed between them. He smiled sadly. I love you, Victoria. More than anything in this world. Then he charged. Straight at the men with guns. No. Victoria's scream tore from her throat. Gunfire exploded. Her father went down. Victoria ran to him, ignoring the weapons trained on her, ignoring everything but the spreading red stain on his chest. Dad. Dad, no. Please. He touched her face with shaking fingers. Tell Julian. Tell him the evidence is in the photograph. What photograph? The one you took. That first day. It's all there. His hand fell. Victoria cradled his body, screaming as the men moved toward her. A single gunshot rang out. The lead man dropped. Victoria looked up through tears to see Julian at the alley's entrance, weapon raised, face twisted with fury. Get away from her. His voice promised death. And for the first time since this nightmare began, Victoria believed someone might actually keep her alive. The next 4 minutes were violence and chaos. Julian moved through the alley like a weapon himself. Each shot precise, efficient, brutal. The tactical team scattered, then fell. Victoria held her father's body, watching this beautiful man become something deadly. When the last attacker dropped, Julian ran to her. Victoria. God, Victoria. He pulled her into his arms, and she collapsed against him, shaking. I'm so sorry. I tracked your phone. I came as fast as I could. My father. Her voice broke. He's gone. Julian held her tighter. I know. I'm sorry. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Real police this time. Margaret had made it out, had called for help. We need to move, Julian said gently. Meridian still has people everywhere. We're not safe yet. Victoria pulled back, meeting his eyes. My father said the evidence is in the photograph. The one I took of you that first day. Julian's expression shifted. Understanding dawned. The tablet. In the background of your shot. I was reviewing documents when you photographed me. If your father embedded files in that image, they ran. Julian's penthouse was a crime scene of papers and technology. He pulled up Victoria's photograph on every screen, analyzing it from every angle. There. He pointed to the tablet reflection in the window behind him. See those file names? They're barely visible, but if we enhance. He worked with furious precision. Victoria watched him, this man she loved and hated and loved again in the span of days. Julian. Almost have it. Julian, look at me. He stopped. Turned. I saw the messages. On your phone. The orders to kill my father. To kill me. His face went white. Victoria. I know you were undercover. My father told me. But I saw those messages, and I believed you'd do it. I believed you were a monster. I am a monster. His voice was raw. I've done terrible things for money. For reputation. I've destroyed lives. When Meridian hired me to find your father, I took the job without question. But then I sat at your table. And you looked at me with those eyes that see everything. And you saw something worth saving.
He crossed to her, cupping her face. I fell for you in that coffee shop. Before I knew your name. Before I knew you were connected to my case. You ruined me, Victoria Reed. Completely. And when I realized who you were, I had 2 choices. Walk away and let Meridian send someone worse. Or stay close and try to keep you alive. So you stayed. I stayed. I played their game. Sent their messages. Pretended to hunt your father while helping him gather evidence. Every moment with you was real. Every word. Every touch. All of it. Tears streamed down Victoria's face. I don't know if I can trust you. I know. God, I know. But I'm asking you to try. The computer beeped. Files extracted. Dozens of them. Julian pulled them up. Financial records. Video evidence. Testimony. Everything Thomas Reed had died to protect. This is it, Julian breathed. This brings down Meridian. All of them. Victoria stared at the evidence. Her father's final gift. His sacrifice. What happens now? Now? Julian turned to her. Now we finish what your father started. We take this to the FBI. The real FBI, not Meridian's people. We testify. We end this. And then? He hesitated. And then you decide. If you want me in your life after everything I've done. Everything I am. Victoria studied him. This beautiful, damaged man who'd lied to her and protected her. Who'd killed for her. Who'd loved her when he wasn't supposed to. My father's last words were about the photograph, she said quietly. But I think he knew. That the real evidence was never in the file. It was in the man behind the tablet. Victoria. You're morally gray. You've done terrible things. You'll probably do terrible things again. But you chose me. Over money. Over safety. Over everything. She stepped closer. That's the story I saw that first day. A man alone. Powerful. But searching for something worth more than power. I found it. His voice broke. I found you. They kissed. It tasted like grief and hope and the beginning of something that might destroy them or save them. Outside, dawn broke over Manhattan. 6 months later, Victoria stood in a gallery in Soho. Her photography exhibition. 20 portraits of Manhattan. Light and shadow. Beauty and grit. But the centerpiece was a photograph taken in a coffee shop. A man at a window table. Intensity in his eyes. Solitude in his posture. And reflected in the window behind him, barely visible, evidence that would bring down an empire. Julian stood beside her, his hand in hers. Do you regret it? She asked quietly. Everything you lost to testify? He'd been disbarred from investigation work. His reputation destroyed. Meridian's lawyers had tried to paint him as the real criminal. But the evidence was too strong. Too complete. 7 executives were now serving life sentences. I lost a career, Julian said. But I found something more valuable. What's that? He turned to her, and his smile was real. Soft. Nothing like the devastating weapon he'd used in that coffee shop. Someone who sees me. All of me. And stays anyway. Victoria pulled him close, breathing in his scent. Safety. Home. They were broken people. Scarred by loss and lies and choices that couldn't be undone. But they'd found each other in a moment of flash photography and fate. And sometimes, that was enough. Thank you, Victoria whispered against his chest. For sitting at my table that day. Julian kissed the top of her head. Thank you for taking my photograph. In the gallery, visitors studied the centerpiece. They saw a beautiful man in a beautiful moment. They didn't see the evidence that saved a woman's life. They didn't see the sacrifice. The betrayal. The love born in lies that became truth. They just saw a photograph. But Victoria and Julian knew better. They saw everything. The end.